he pleaded to the people, make America great again. We're tearing America apart right now.
Fishermen here in Cortez, Florida are pissed off with the president who many of them voted for, and they're angry because of skyrocketing diesel prices.
I'm really scratching my head because I voted Republican, and most of us in the fishing industry did, and we're not seeing the positives come out of it.
Now, before the war in Iran, gas coming from this pump in Cortez was going for $3.29 per gallon. Now, gas from this pump is closer to $5 a gallon. And for boats like this one, Linnea, which is about to go out on a 2-week sword fishing trip, it needs 4,600 gallons of diesel. And with prices like these, that's making business unsustainable. All of that on top of the fact that these fishermen are also having to contend with President Trump's erratic tariff policy.
When the tariffs initially went into effect, there was a huge jump in all of our tackle and supplies. And even though the tariff percentages were rolled back a little bit, our suppliers never rolled back their prices.
Now, the manager of this family-run fishing company here in Cortez, Karen Bell, tells me that the tariffs and the diesel prices mean she's going to have to raise the price of fish. And that cost is ultimately going to be incurred by the customers.
I'm going to try to push prices up. I hope consumers realize that, when we push prices forward or up, it's not really something we want to do.
And one fisherman warned me that this could mean the end for the fishing industry here in Cortez.
Oh, this could be the final straw for a lot of people. For a lot of people in this industry, man. I mean, we're already taxed to death. Everything, the cost of everything, tackle, the cost of operation, and then the fuel going up. It could be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. I mean, and it's sad.
And these fishermen have a clear message to President Trump about who's suffering from this war back home.
The working class people like us that are going to suffer from this. There's no benefit to it for any of us. The war is
unfortunately. And our appeal to President Trump and his administration is make soybeans a priority in any trade negotiations that are taking place. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China. And in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had as American farmers. And they're critical.
Disappointed, apathetic, anxious, discouraged. That is how 5 Trump voters describe their feelings about the country right now. Trump voters. They were part of a New York Times focus group with a dozen Trump voters, 6 Republicans, 6 independents, all of them unhappy with the president's second term. In fact, 9 out of 12 of them say they regret their vote, complaining the president has not kept his promises, like no new wars, tax breaks, lower prices. Kitty, a 36-year-old independent mom from Pennsylvania, put it this way: we're starting to see we're getting disillusioned. All these false promises, we don't know it for what it is right now. Chris, a Republican electrician from Illinois, is worried the president isn't focused on people like him. Quote, the stock market, Wall Street, he's focused on the rich. Daniel, an independent from California who works in manufacturing, agreed. He said, I think he's protecting his rich buddies. It's pretty hard to tell a rich person what to do. They're going to do whatever they want. John, a 62-year-old Republican, said something similar, using the Trump renaming the Kennedy Center as his example. Quote, he kind of does what he wants, almost without any repercussions, whether we like it or not. There were also concerns about corruption. Here is Nancy, an independent from Arizona. She says everything he's doing, from the little things like tearing down part of the White House to putting up the ballroom, everything he does just feels very corrupt and self-serving. And despite mostly being out of the news cycle, we did hear about Epstein as well. Michelle, a Latina Republican, said, we're still cloaking and protecting people of power because they're not people, because they're people of power. Protecting the people in power because they're in power. So are they outliners, those Trump voters? The numbers do not suggest that. A recent Fox News poll shows voters now trust Democrats more than Republicans on the economy. The economy! That's the first time that's happened in 16 years. The Cook Political Report currently rates 217 House seats as leaning blue. It takes 218 to win the majority. Even the Senate is now in play. The Times, speaking to multiple GOP strategists, reports Trump's allies are exasperated by the president's lack of focus on the elections, even when he's holding events designed to highlight his highlights. For example, right after he gave a speech on his no tax on tips policy a couple of weeks ago, you remember this, when he went outside of the Oval Office to get a prearranged delivery of McDonald's from the, quote, DoorDash granny. Well, when he took questions from reporters during that event, instead of trying to keep the focus on his policy, he took questions and waxed poetic on a series of things, including the fight with the Pope, another in a series of own goals, throwing momentum on the midterms to the Democrats. As longtime GOP strategist Mike Murphy puts it, the Democrats, not because of anything they've done, but because they're not Trump, have surged.
Stories of MAGA voters that have entered the find out phase of their vote. So the New York Times released a piece that's titled Disappointed, Surprised, Betrayed, 12 Trump voters on what has gone wrong. And in one part of the article, the interviewer asked the voters to use one or two words to explain how they're feeling about the current administration. Chris, who's a 42-year-old white man from Illinois and is a Republican, said surprised. He says life is becoming more and more unaffordable. The price of things like gasoline and food overall have not come down. I thought it would all just be a lot more affordable. Francesca, who's 26 from the state of Washington, is mixed-raced and says independent, says she feels betrayed. We were made a lot of promises during the election. I know that it's only been a year and a half, but I don't think I've really seen much progress toward even moving toward what he said he was going to do, such as tax breaks or, let's see, helping with the education system. I feel like he just defunded a lot of the education systems, the schools. I don't know why he made so many promises. I believe he actually said he wanted to get rid of the Department of Education on the campaign trail, if I'm not mistaken. And in other parts of the interview, the interviewers asked what they think of him, and Jose, age 62 from Florida, Latino, and votes independent, says, quote, I thought he'd learned his lesson and was going to prove to everybody he learned from his mistakes. He was going to turn the country around, and he was going to be a stellar president, but it's turned out to be a horror movie. I was so wrong with the vote for him. Nancy, age 55, from the state of Arizona, who's white and votes independent, says, quote, tariffs are really impacting me, especially at work, because I work for a company that has offices abroad. The tariffs are just creating chaos at work between all of our customers, not understanding all the changes that are happening and the rollbacks. And are they going to get a refund? It's just constant chaos.
One of the comments that I've seen from some people in Georgia is they say, well, you know, a lot of people in social circle, they supported the president, they support ICE, so they should support the facility. This is what you asked for.
Well, no. I do support ICE.
And I do support the president. But this is not the place to bring those people.
How are these 600 chickens being impacted by the war in Iran? You guessed it, it's Diesel prices, let me break it down for you. So we're here at Coastal Pastures Farms. It's a small regenerative farm in South Florida. And what a regenerative farm means is that this soil isn't sprayed with pesticides, is that these chickens don't take antibiotics and they're not vaccinated, which in theory should mean that they're able to lay healthier, more natural eggs. But that's only possible if this chicken coop is moved every single day. That way the chickens aren't lying in their own waste, they don't get sick, they lay healthy eggs. But to move the coop every day, they need this John Deere tractor, which is an absolute diesel guzzler.
So every day we're using diesel in the tractor. Every day we're using diesel in the truck. As a small farm, our margins are very small. And by adding these extra expenses in diesel, it really means we have to cut back in other areas.
So the price of diesel has gone up by about $2 here in Florida since the war began. And what that means practically is that for these farmers to produce these eggs, that cost is going up.
Unfortunately, the diesel and the tractors are necessary for our daily operations. So as these prices increase, we are going to have to offset that price to consumers, unfortunately. This is going to be the only way that we can stay in business.
So this farm is owned and operated by Jake Englund and Jeff Mandel. They're both veterans of the war in Afghanistan. When I asked them about this war in Iran, they said that both as business owners and also as veterans, they are not happy.
The war is awful. And I don't think politicians understand it on a level that, troops do on the front line. Me and my partner had friends who died in these wars, died after these wars from mental strife. War, I don't think, is a solution.
I think it's a complete waste of time, all these wars. But that's just one guy's opinion on one small farm, small corner of the country.
And when I asked what their message to President Trump would be right now,
let's actually put the American people first, not just say it,
Oh no! Another Trump cultist just got screwed over by his orange God King. I just came across a tweet posted by a Trump cultist, and he is just whining and freaking out and panicked because he and his wife just found out that Donald Trump screwed them over. Let me read what he wrote. All caps. Attention! Please help! President Trump and Ted Cruz. My wife is a nurse and was recently hired by the VA. Our home is packed up. We have a new home. We spent thousands to move our family from Fort Worth to Waco. Following Trump's hiring freeze executive order, the VA rescinded her job offer. Oh, no. My wife is in tears and inconsolable, and my family is devastated. It has been my wife's dream to work with needy disabled veterans. I'm a disabled vet. Now our home is lost.
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
The past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
Whoop-de-doo, another MAGA FAFO. This is getting really fucking old at this point, but I will continue to post these every single day because I do believe that there is a benefit in highlighting Trump supporters themselves regretting their vote so that other Trump supporters might see and be like, oh shit, yeah, we can be affected by the man we voted for. The frustrating part about all of this is they never seem to give a shit until it affects them. There's zero empathy in that heart until it affects them. And then only until it affects them do they regret their vote. But I think it's important. It gets highlighted. I'm not here to shame you. I'll take up arms with you. I'll fight this administration with you. And I'll encourage you to vote in the midterms for someone who will actually do better for this country. But I am going to highlight it until then because I think it's valuable information. Anyways, my name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow or you won't see my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, we voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business. But we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point. My husband and me own a construction company, and We literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company's likely to go out of business now.
Oh, so now you get it. But where were you when they pardoned January 6th terrorists? When they put an accused rapist and child predator into the White House? And then gave a Fox News host with the whiskey problem the keys to national security? Where were you when voting rights were being gutted, and when books were being banned, when history was being rewritten, and when billionaires got a tax break while you paid more for groceries? Where were you when they tried to overturn an election in broad daylight, and when children were ripped from their parents at the border, and when Supreme Court seats were stolen to control your body? You ignored the facts, you mocked the warnings, and you voted for chaos like it was a game show. Now that dumpster fire is parked in your driveway and it's affecting your business, and now you want sympathy. Nah, honey, keep that same energy you had when you told us to get over it. You need to own it, wear it, and pray your apology becomes before the next disaster that you helped to create. We're going to need you to get up off your butt and get in the streets. That's right, hit the streets, sister, because it's time to do some protesting. And you and everyone who voted for this mess should be on the front lines.
Welcome to the show. I have new Trump regrets to share with you, new Trump voters entering the find out phase. So first up, I have a video to share from a man who says that he is not proud that he's voted for Trump, and he is done with MAGA. So take a look. This is a really good one.
Out of it, man enough to say it. I was one of those guys back in 2020, 2024, shit, even 2016 before I could vote. I was all for Trump. I was all for MAGA. I believed he was going to make America great again. I believed he was going to drain the swamp. I thought he was going to be different. He wasn't a career politician. And boy, was I wrong. My views didn't change. They still remain the same. I did fall for the deception, though, because I can't in good conscience support someone who's responsible for a pointless war where thousands of innocent lives are dying every single day. I can't support someone who mocked Christ on Easter. I sure as hell can't support someone who calls the people who want transparency on one of the most heinous and insidious acts in human history, the Epstein files, calls them liars and lunatics. He's probably a part of it himself. Can't support that. When it comes to politics, it's hard to even align myself with one of the parties because they're both being controlled by the same puppeteers at the top. So I was wrong. Not proud of it. Man enough to say it.
So this is one of the people who I wish I could have a conversation with. I wish I could ask this person, like, do you know the difference between a corporate Democrat and a progressive? Because yes, corporate Democrats are controlled by the same people who control the vast majority of Republicans. True progressives are not. Progressives do not take corporate PAC money. They are not beholden to anyone but you and I. That is the big difference. And that's how you know. So if you guys are out there, if you are like an MSNBC liberal and you're looking at someone like, let's say, Mark Kelly and going, ooh, I like him for president, go look at who he gets his money from. Go look at who controls him. That is the other way to say it. Okay? Ton of money. Ton of money. Like, I believe it was something like $6 or $8 million from AIPAC. I mean, that is all you need to know. Wherever their money is coming from, that's who's pulling the strings. So anyway, this next post is from someone who replied to Marjorie Taylor Greene on Twitter. Greene had retweeted aerial images, aerial video of what Israel has done to Lebanon in the past 6 weeks or so. And she was slamming U.S. Congress members for continuing to fund Israel. And this person replied to her and said this: I truly regret voting for Trump. I supported him, I think it's supposed to be throughout, his whole campaign till he became another president to obey Israel and complicit in the killing complicit of killing many innocent people.
Donald Trump cut billions of dollars from federal programs that funded small farmers. The same program that we got our grant through is no longer funded, and we've just been left to the winds. I don't have anything to say to Donald Trump. There's nothing I can say that he would even listen to. He's gonna look down on me like I'm a bug on the sidewalk or a piece of shit on his shoe. He doesn't care about people like me, you.
All right, Trump, it's not cool, man. No tax on overtime. Well, I'm just now finding out that no tax on overtime is not no tax on overtime. There is tax on overtime. It's no tax on the half. So anything after 40 hours is time and a half. And you're still taxing the time, just not the half. And that's not how you made it out. That's not how you told us it was going to be. You're doing that fine print manipulation and deceit. If you tell us no tax on overtime, that's what we expect. Don't turn into a regular, normal politician. That's why I voted for you, because I thought you weren't a politician. But that's a politician tactic, and I'm not happy. And I'm sure millions of others who put in 60, 70 hours a week to put put food on the table for the family, to keep lights and heat and air conditioning on for their family, because we can't survive on 40 hours. They're not going to be happy either. You need to fix this. No tax on overtime should mean no tax on overtime, not no tax on the half of time and a half. That's that small print, that fine writing manipulation and deceit, and you're guilty of it.
We need to fix what was broken the last 4 years.
What was broken?
The border was left wide open.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. So can you tell me what executive order or piece of legislation that Biden passed to open the border?
He just swung the door open.
So once again, what executive action or legislative action?
Title 42.
Nigga, what? Title 40. What
Yep.
is Title 42?
Where people can just come in here freelance, walk across the border. Hey, man, we'll give you free healthcare, free housing, whatever. What? You're mad because I know my shit. The host is tripping out.
I'm tripping out, bro. I'm
You
tripping
can't handle
out,
the
bro.
heat. You're like, Parker, get a job.
I think I'm cuter. So can you read what's on the screen here?
Title 42. A public health authority used the COVID-19 pandemic March 2020, May 2023 to rapidly expel migrants at the U.S. border.
What did you just say it was?
It was to expel migrants at the border.
It is not what you said.
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to play you back what you just said. You ready? Or legislative action.
Title 42. I just backchecked you. Come in here freelance. Walk across the border. Hey, man, I'll give you free healthcare, free housing, whatever. Trump was still right.
I bet he was, buddy.
Your investors, your shareholders. If you're shareholders, you get to spend some time with the CEO and you get to help steer the direction that this great state is going.
They're blatantly admitting it at this point. Invest with me, become a business partner, and you'll get to run the state. That was at a private event for Republican candidate Brian Donald, who was running for governor of Florida, where guests were told if they invest in his business, they'll be able to steer the direction of Florida. Bought and paid for is an understatement. Politicians should be working for us, not their corporate donors, and this Donald is no exception. Republicans have done everything possible to stop legislation to prevent this, by the way. They've protected Citizens United for one. They did this in 2022, and that new Stop Insider Trading Act, yeah, that's meaningless. They're still going to be able to get rich off their insider trading. Elon Musk, one of Trump's largest donors, and his Doge was a perfect example of how disastrous having a donor somehow in charge of anything is. Remember how there were a bunch of firings from the FAA just weeks after there was a crash, and then there were more? In politics, what's most honest is money. Follow that, and you know who your reps really work for.
To every hater and smug liberal who thought that they could talk down to us, Trump won. So now you can sit back and watch real Americans take the wheel. You doubted us. You mocked us. We showed up. And we won. And now it's our time to bring back greatness, whether you like it or not.
All of these people that are talking shit about gas prices going up, saying, oh, do you regret voting for Trump now? No, I don't. He is doing a favor to the world, shit that other people said they would do and that they couldn't do. He is a badass. His motto is around and find out, and all of these countries are finding out. And when it comes down to it, like, they're going to be better off in the end. So I'm willing to pay a little bit more for gas prices at the moment to have the world be at a little bit more peace. And yeah, if we have to go to war for a minute to get there, then so be it. I would go fight on the front lines if I had to, but I'm too old.
Can people stop saying to me, this is what you voted for? Is this what you wanted? Look what you voted for. Why yes, Susie, this is exactly what I voted for. This is exactly what I wanted. America first. Donald Trump as our president. Fighting the big fight that we can't fight alone. Hey, I'm Mama D. I'm a stay-at-home mom and wife. I homeschool. I'm 100% pro-life. I'm all for MAGA, and I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024 with 0 regrets. Yes, Susie, this is what I voted for. Now, for all of you on the left, we already know where you stand and have stood the entire time. For the people on the right that are falling victim to the social media platform lies, propaganda, misinformation, bullshit, yes, you as a human being, as a person, as an American, you have every right to change your mind. You have your right to question things. But here's what I know. If you were on the right and you voted for Donald Trump, you supported him for all these years. You backed him. You rooted for him. You cheered him on. You wanted him to be our president. Pushed his name across all of the platforms. You knew he would be the one for the job. And now you flip-flop, and now you're screaming that he's not doing what he said he was going to, or that he's doing too much. You did not follow him very well. You did not understand the assignment. You didn't listen. You didn't quite comprehend. You weren't a true supporter. Because us on the right that know exactly what's going on right now, why it's going on, we're still smiling and say, yes, this is what we voted for. It's because we understood the assignment. It's because we listened when he spoke. We heard his word, and we truly knew what we were voting for. That man is simply doing exactly what we voted for. And for some reason, it's almost like you don't know you voted for it. Well, you did. If you have regret and you want to change your mind, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But those of us that see the truth, know the truth, heard the truth, we're going to stand right where we stand. There's no flip-flopping. Because Donald Trump is doing exactly what we wanted him to do. What we voted for. What we put our trust in him to do. Quit blowing shit up just to get clicks, to get paid, to get more followers, to help the left-sided propaganda. If you loved this man before, and you still love him now, and he is doing everything that you voted for, tell the haters to move along and let DT make America great again. After all, it's what we voted for. Peace, love, and happiness.
Whatever he promised, it's not happening. Everything is opposite what he is promising.
We've been taking ride shares all across Las Vegas today, asking our drivers if Trump's new no tax on tips policy is actually making a difference. Their responses have been super consistent. No tax on tips, good, but not enough to counter the grocery and gas price spikes they've been experiencing.
As high as the price as with gas and your bills and everything now, I think the no tax on tips is a good thing, but it doesn't put a big dent into our financial things that we spend on. You're doing good if you walk into a grocery store and don't drop $100 at the cash register.
I mean, I'm making more than before, but it feels like every dollar is like shrinking. For us, the biggest one is gas prices. Vegas is very expensive with gas.
That's impact a lot, the prices on gas, because we drive all day long.
Does that make you regret your vote, or how do you feel about that?
Yes, I'm regretting.
Trump has been talking a lot about affordability, how he's making it more affordable, how the economy's doing great. As an individual, are you feeling that?
No, of course not. Like, all you do is look around. Like, saying something and then actually being true is two totally different things. We're in a war that, you know, all the things he promised. no new wars, no new this is everything he's going back on.
This French Trump supporter is finding out the hard way. Marie Therese, an 85-year-old French citizen that lives in Alabama, considers herself a supporter of President Trump and admires his policy to deport illegal immigrants so much, she thinks it should be adopted in France too. Well, that was before ICE banged on her door, pushed their way inside, handcuffed her, dragged her to an unmarked car, and drove her to a jail cell. Marie Therese said she was still in her bathrobe, pajamas, and slippers. Turns out, she was one of the undesirables that she wanted kicked out of the country. She was incarcerated for 16 days where she was chained by her wrists and ankles to other inmates and loaded onto buses in a plane, like a potato sack. After 2 weeks in detention in Alabama and Louisiana, she said she feared she might die. I didn't think these things existed, she said about the immigration facilities she was held in. I thought that when we arrested them, we would treat them properly. It really shocked me. She added, they treat them like dogs, not in a human way. Marie? Don't say them. You're a part of that group too. Marie had overstayed a 90-day visa by roughly 4 months, but said in a later statement that she had been in the country illegally for 7 months. The funniest part of the story is that it's alleged her own stepson Tony, a courthouse security officer and former state trooper, was the one that initiated his own stepmother's arrest. MAGA families are just straight up heartless. And of course, after her own experience, she now says she doesn't support Trump anymore.
A lot of these moms held their nose and voted for Trump in 2024, and they're not sure that they're willing to vote red in the midterms again.
People versus poison! People versus poison!
So we're at the People vs. Poison rally in Washington, D.C., where a group of some of the biggest names in MAGA have gathered together to protest against big companies that they say are poisoning Americans with chemicals.
You cannot tell Americans to eat real food while protecting the cancer-causing chemicals sprayed on it.
The Make America Healthy Again movement helped Trump win the presidency, but now its supporters are mad.
We are going to fight, fight, fight!
MAGA is feeling betrayed and completely dissatisfied with what the administration has done.
We are on the brink of falling apart. I am diehard conservative, and I got this group of MAGA moms, and I'm trying to keep us together.
MAGA united under RFK Jr. They loved that he'd fought a chemical company in court and won. But this week, the Trump administration supported the maker of that chemical in a Supreme Court case over whether Americans can sue for alleged harms from glyphosate exposure. And in February, Trump signed an executive order protecting glyphosate as crucial to the national security and defense. Bayer, who makes glyphosate, maintains it's safe.
I was disgusted. I was literally sick to my stomach. There were millions of Democratic and independent moms in particular that voted Republican because they believed Trump, that he was going to do something about pesticides in the food.
A lot of the speakers here are people who were very active in helping RFK Jr. campaign for President Trump. There's a lot of conversation here about whether those promises are actually being followed through on.
It makes us actually, women with children especially, sit at home instead of going to the ballot.
MAGA voters are not loyal to a certain political party. MAGA voters are a coalition that's up for grabs. This is do or die. This is sink or swim. This is the Titanic is going down. Are you going to give us a lifeboat? Because if you don't, it's all gone. It's all gone. Hundreds of thousands of free votes that fell out of thin air in 2024 have vanished.
But it doesn't bother me when he speaks on issues of the day, frankly, even when I disagree with how he's applying particular principles. So the most obvious example.
The Republican fall-off is going to be talked about for literally generations, because what do you mean Turning Point USA hosted an event where they brought out J.D. Vance, the person who's most likely going to run for 2028 presidential election, okay, on the Republican side, and nobody showed up? You got these seats that have some individuals in it, but all those back seats are empty. Because if this event was hosted back in 2024, there would have been a line wrapped around the building. But in the light of Charlie Kirk dying and the organization that is Turning Point USA dying with it, because it's actually quite literally gone to shit, and then Donald Trump going back on all of his promises, this just speaks for itself. This is where the Republican Party is right now. People don't want to show up to sit in some seats to watch J.D. Vance gaslight them and tell them that paying $5 for gas is patriotic, right? They don't want to be told that we swear to God, eggs are cheaper. Nothing else is cheaper but eggs. Oh, and this is also what happens when you decide to build your whole entire movement around like figureheads. Donald Trump is the person that everyone worships. The minute that Donald Trump's gone, Republicans are going to fall on their faces because they don't actually care about policy. All they know is worship Donald Trump. The minute Donald Trump's gone, these voters are going to disappear into thin air. Same thing when it comes with like the Turning Point USA events. They came for Charlie. Now that Charlie's gone, because you guys propped Charlie up like a god and made him the entire figurehead for this thing, nobody is showing up because they don't actually care about policy. They don't actually care about politics. They care about worshiping individuals. And now that those individuals are, one of them's literally gone and one of them's about to be out, y'all are fucked. My name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow everyone to my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
My liberal friends, you should sit down for this because MAGA are now just discovering what tariffs are.
If I don't have a check for $63, I can't get my packages? Correct. When did this start?
This all started when you elected him on November 4th, 2024.
Because I don't have checks. I only have a credit card. Can you take a credit card? So I ordered something, and if I don't have a check for $63, I can't receive it because of tariffs.
I second what the UPS driver says. Because that's how tariffs work, you idiots. The tax is paid by you, not the country. The country's like, oh, you want to tax us? We're just going to crank up the price of this good. So small businesses who import it have to crank up their prices to you as the consumer when you buy it, and then you pay the higher premium. And so when you're wondering, why is everything at Walmart and Target so fucking expensive? Why is this so expensive? Why is everything so fucking expensive? That's how tariffs work. They crank up the price because they had to pay a higher premium when they imported that good. And so they sell it to you at a higher premium. Oh, and you thought you were being smart when you bought it directly from China, right? Yeah, no, when it comes through customs, you have to pay duties and tax. They're called tariffs. But let's watch. How are you going to get your package?
This is wild.
I know. It is wild, and I'm sorry.
So what do you do with my packages? Because I would have to go to the bank and I have to
hold them for 3 days.
Let me go see with my mom.
You get 3 attempts.
I don't use checks anymore. I use credit card and Apple Pay. Hold on, let me go look for a check. Hold on.
Pray that you have a check.
I got no checks. So what do? I got to go get a check from the bank and you'll come back tomorrow?
Yeah. You get a certified check. Made out to UPS.
Like a cashier's check?
Yeah.
Now, for my fellow liberals, this is the part where your head is just going to blow off from anger.
And what? And this is tariffs?
Yeah. Anything like that.
Why aren't they telling us about it?
Told you you're going to be pissed off. We tried telling you, but you know, us libtards don't know anything about politics and global economics. So you didn't want to listen. You voted for this, so half the day you voted for.
I will never in my life again ever vote for a Democrat. Ever.
What is Trump's healthcare plan?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember right now.
What did he say in the debate with Kamala Harris when they said, what is your healthcare plan?
I don't.
Donald Trump said, and I quote, he said, I have concepts of a plan. And right now, as Republicans criticize Democrats and say, we're not going to give illegals healthcare, which is a lie, Republicans are being asked, hey, do you have a healthcare plan to replace Obamacare if Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act is so bad? And what do they say? No. They have concepts of a plan still. So when you say you picked, when you say you elected Trump, when you, just really quick, when you say you voted for Trump based off his policies and better plans, and healthcare is a big thing to me. I know people who suffered from cancer, Alzheimer's, who suffered from different forms of like dementia, suicide, drug, alcohol abuse, all that kind of stuff. They needed a lot of help in my life. I knew a lot of people going through a lot, including some veterans, including people, firefighters, police, a bunch of social workers, whoever it might be. Healthcare is a big deal to me. The fact that Trump said, I have concepts of a plan, and at this point, after being president for damn near 10 years, he has no healthcare plan, and you say you voted for Trump based off his plans, do you see how that's kind of funny sounding?
Okay. Keep listening to CNN and Kamala.
Sir, respond to the points I just made. Why did Trump say he has concepts of a plan, and he still has no healthcare plan?
It takes a while to get through the... Right now, he can't even get the budget put on because the Democrats are stopping it.
So he doesn't have an idea of what healthcare can even look like. Even running for president. He was running for president for like 4 years. He was banned from Twitter, so he had no time to tweet. So we're done. Wow. He said we're done. What a whiny little bitch, bro. What a whiny bitch. Honestly, dude. Shout out to women, but... Bro.
On this episode of FAFO Theater, meet Amer Ghalib. He's the former mayor of Hamtramck, Michigan, which is located relatively close to Detroit, Michigan. And Hamtramck, Michigan has a relatively large Muslim population at about approximately 60%. During the 2024 election, he threw his support behind a certain someone that's currently occupying the White House.
And we are in a mission which is the priority for us today, to send President Trump back to the White House.
Well, here's the thing about Amer. It looks like he might have entered the find out phase of his vote and support for DT, as well as some folks who belong in the Yemeni American community that also threw their support for DT.
A few moments later.
Because just a few short days ago, the DT administration has revoked TPS, also known as Temporary Protective Status, for the Yemen community. And it looks like Amer has spoken with multiple highly ranked White House officials and explained the situation to them, but it doesn't seem that they took anything into consideration, Ghalib told with Al Jazeera, where he says, quote, "We hope the administration will reevaluate the situation in Yemen and consider the risks those individuals are facing if they are to be sent back at this time. They are just a few thousand compared to hundreds of thousands from some other countries." And Ghalib had helped lead the major shift in the Arab community towards Donald, which boosted the Republican leader's popularity to win Michigan in 2024. And in Dearborn, Michigan, which is predominantly a Yemeni American neighborhood, Donald grew his share of votes from less than 11% in 2020 to about 55% of the vote in 2024. Yemeni American activist Wali Al-Tahif says, quote, "People feel betrayed. They feel backstabbed. There was hope that he was going to bring a different direction, different policies toward Yemen and the Yemeni community, but we've seen the opposite, absolutely the opposite." And Wali says that the decision to revoke TPS for Yemen will likely separate families in the community. And what I will say is that I don't think people can say that they feel betrayed or backstabbed when there were definitely signs.
Barack would pay down. Joe would lay down. But either or both would tear us all the way down. Well, Trump made the jump and stood up and won't stay down. So, who cares about gas prices? It beats being lifeless. Trump is the savior of life, just like ICE is. He stopped ISIS. Meanwhile, where's Kamala in this crisis? Miss Orange Man Bad forgot what a mic is.
Oh no, Timu Kid Rock, I'm gonna need you to take a pause for the cause, okay? Just because Donald Trump put his name on the Kennedy Center does not mean that MAGA is supposed to be entering the world of the arts. So I'm not exactly sure what that was you were doing, but I did see you try to move the goalpost yet again. Because you see, Donald Trump, he campaigned off of lowering the cost of things. So with him raising the cost of things, that's not good. That's you moving the goalpost. He also campaigned off of being the president of peace and no new wars. He also said that if Harris was in office, we would for sure be at war with Iran. And lo and behold, look at us now with Trump in office. We are at war with Iran. And you're perfectly okay with it. You're rejoicing in these things. But the state of our country, much like your singing or rhyming or whatever it was that you were just doing, it sucks. It's not good. It's very, very bad. And it's also the exact opposite of what he said he was going to do. And I'm not sure why you're asking where Kamala Harris is right now, because this country as a whole said that they didn't want her. So why would she be trying to help save things right now? All right, she told us exactly what she was going to do. And collectively, not me, but this country said, we don't want you. I don't know, you guys thought she had a funny laugh. So why are you wondering where she's at? Why would she come help? Either way, I'm going to need you to stop doing what you were just doing and wake the up, because this country is collapsing. Like, we are mid-collapse right now, and you are cheering it on, all because you hate people who don't look like you, think like you, or act like you.
Are white people going viral right now for their regret over voting for Donald Trump? And I put that word into heavy quotation marks because I genuinely question if they even know what the word regret means. One woman in particular got on TikTok crying, a whole theatrical production about how people are not greeting her with open arms, how they're being mean to her in her comment section. Lady, are you f***ing for real? Somehow you are the victim, not the millions of people harmed by the very system that you voted to prop up not once, not twice, but 3 times. Not the immigrants who lost their family members to deportation or concentration camps. Not the communities of color who have been terrorized by the very policies that you voted to enable. You're the victim because people were mean to you in your comment section. And this tells me everything I need to know about your regret. You're not sorry, you're uncomfortable, and you're confusing the two. You claim that you're doing the work, yet at the first sign that that work becomes difficult, you make videos crying to garner sympathy for yourself. So the emotional labor falls on everyone else again. And then to make it worse, there's a whole slew of people in her comment sections coddling her. Oh, you're such a good girl because you realize that you made a mistake by voting for him 3 times. It's so brave of you to speak up. Then, some of you have the audacity to police how other people respond to this video. Specifically, the people that MAGA spent years targeting. People of color, the LGBTQ community, immigrants. You want them to welcome ex-MAGA with open arms. You want them to perform forgiveness for your comfort. The people that we should all have sympathy for are the ones who have been harmed, not the ones who do the harming and are now sad because everyone remembers. But here's the part that really gets me. Same crying video. She said she won't be voting in future elections. So instead of working to dismantle the oppressive system that you helped build, your solution is to throw your hands up and do nothing but cry online. That is not remorse. That is not doing the work. That's pandering for likes and comments to appease your praise kink. That's demanding forgiveness without actually earning it. Look, if people want to coddle ex-MAGA voters, that's your prerogative. Nobody can stop you for handing out participation trophies. But if you are an alleged regretful MAGA, do not expect anyone to forgive you. Do not expect a warm welcome. Do not expect marginalized communities to throw you a parade. Do the difficult work. Sit with your discomfort. Sit with the fact that people are rightfully angry at you. And sit with the fact that your regret doesn't undo any of the damage that you caused. The only way you will maybe, and that's a big if, be welcomed back into a society that is rightfully skeptical of you is if you spend the rest of your life proving that you are worth redemption. That means voting for progressive candidates who actually want to help people. That means showing up to protests. That means putting your body on the line. That means doing the hard work even when nobody is clapping for you. Otherwise, save your tears and go cry about it in your journal. If you're like me, maybe you noticed that the flags that were in front yards have disappeared. And suddenly the red hats are not so easy to spot at grocery stores and gas stations. And that the people who spent years screaming about stolen elections and child trafficking rings have gone silent. So what is actually happening? Did they suddenly see the light? No, because that's not how any of this works. I spent some time researching how extremist movements die, and here's what I've learned. They don't collapse in one dramatic event. They fizzle out slowly and quietly, and in stages. Different people leave for different reasons. Some leave because the winning team is no longer winning. So what once felt good no longer feels good. Some leave because the voices they trust finally give them permission, and some never leave at all. The ones who never leave are the fanatics. They're the smallest group, but they're also the loudest and most visible. They will scream until the end, and then they will keep screaming into an empty room. The good news is the fanatics are not your problem to solve. You cannot argue someone out of a cult. You cannot debate them into seeing reality. They have to watch the whole thing fall apart on their own, and the leader has to break first. Trump is breaking. His health is failing. His mind is slipping. He's fueling his own demise. And when he goes, the movement goes with him. Because no one else can hold it together. I broke down the entire collapse in my latest Substack article, including the 3 waves of departure, the psychology behind each one, and what happens when it's over.
I was in the school drop-off and I was standing next to this lady, and she goes, I didn't know that Donald Trump wanted to take away the Affordable Care Act. I thought he was just going to get rid of Obamacare, and I was all for that. And I paused because I wasn't sure if she was joking or not. And then I say, those are the same thing. They're one and the same. And she goes, well, I didn't know that. And now I don't know if I'm going to have insurance for my kids or for myself. How are they so uneducated about the things that their presidential candidate wanted to do? Because somehow he baffled all these into voting against their own interests.
Never thought the leopards would eat my face. No, I never thought it would happen to me. Turn my back on my own kind, but I somehow thought that every fight. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Wow, the FAFO is getting hot. It's really ramping up. I'm not sure if you guys could tell, like 2025 brought us a lot within that first year, but today is the first day of May. And I think it's safe to say now that we've completed 4 full months of 2026 so far, I think it's safe to say that it's only going up from here with the amount of FAFO that we're going to see. It's ramping up big time. I mean, you're hearing stories from creators, from news networks, on social media posts like Twitter and Facebook, everywhere, and it's only going to increase because so many more people are being affected by this man's actions. And at least they're coming out and speaking about it. I guess they really don't have a choice in a way because they have to, I guess, get their issues out there. They probably feel that Trump might see it and help them. Like I have in this video, the farmers, again, of the farmers, it's more and more farmers coming to speak up about it. The fishermen, I noticed that it's starting to get a lot. When I would do these videos, I would see the same clips over and over again, but now you can easily go on any form of social media and find these stories easily. So it's just getting more and more prominent of like something that's happening, and it's just so mind-blowing the fact that so many people voted for their own demise, not full-on demise. I'm not talking about their actual life, but the businesses are being affected. Like, think about it. To run a farm, to have like a business where you go out and fish, all of that stuff takes time to build up. And I think I mentioned it in another one of my FAFO videos that sometimes these like farms and these different things are running from generations. It's multi-generational. And just the fact that you listen to this man's lies and you're putting that all at jeopardy. It's all at risk at this point. Just like the guy said in the first clip about the fishermen with the high gas prices, that might do a lot of the fishermen in. Because if you have to fill up these boats with 4,600 gallons of gas, can you imagine how much that costs? I mean, that would be hard for anybody to keep up with. To me, that's a lot to even think about when things are going well. Imagine when things like this are happening and everything's being impacted, not only the gas prices, but just the fishing and farming industries in themselves are struggling. They're all being impacted. It's always in these red states. I mean, it's definitely obvious, but they are the ones that go all hard for Trump. Oh, this is Trump 2024. But now we're in 2026 and you're struggling and you're regretting that you ever considered voting for him. Y'all let these MAGA influencers and Trump and all of the people who are his allies put all of these lies into your head. And of course, I'm not going to say every person that voted for him like were convinced to vote for him by the same things. I'm sure like a lot of these farmers voted for him like for fiscal reasons, like they thought it would be good for their business, which is kind of crazy at the same time because Who's helping you run those farms? Most likely immigrants. So the logic still really doesn't fully make sense. It's really showing us that we were right. We were right, and we told everybody all along that this would be the case, and y'all just were like, nah, I feel good about Trump. I don't want to vote for that lady. I don't like her laugh. I feel Trump is going to be able to handle his emotions better. Whatever excuse they said. Now look at what's happening. You're struggling, and now you're realizing the consequences of your vote. And it's sad. I mean, do I feel bad? I'm sorry. I don't. When you really think about it, you did this to yourself. I didn't want you to have to struggle. I voted for things to be put in place for you to advance in your business and in your farms and whatever industry you're in. But no, you voted for the man who's volatile and will just do anything that he wants because he can. He's not going to have your best interests in mind. He's just going to do whatever he wants. He used all of you for votes and just to avoid jail time. I hope a lot of people are starting to realize some of this, but it's seeming like that is the case. A lot of people, I feel, are still reluctant because there's this notion out there because just to bring it up here, today I was kind of going back and forth with a few of the young guys that do the political streaming, like Santana and Dean and Parker and all them. And I was listening to them while I was working just so that I could have something to listen to without having to keep my eyes on the screen. And a lot of the people that they talk to, they mainly aim to try to debate with Trump supporters, for those who don't quite know what they do. And they do it while they're on live stream. And when you really speak with them, it's like they don't even really fully realize that that they don't really have anything else that they could support him on. But they will still come up and say, oh, who would you rather vote for? And they will still say Trump. A lot of them, though, I am noticing are kind of like, I did support Trump, but now not so much. So the tide has definitely turned, but a lot of them are grasping at straws to still find something they support him on. A lot of the time, what I notice from the past couple of days of me watching them, and even today, is that a lot of them will come through and first bring up the deportations, because that's the only thing he kept his promise on, which I find ironic because some of his supporters are coming out to say, oh, I love what he's doing with that. But then on the flip side, you have other people, when they're affected by it, saying they didn't realize he was going to target everybody. So I'm not sure how some people got the message and are liking it, but the ones affected didn't seem to realize it. It's just seeming like they are just trying to hold on to anything that they can. A lot of them are still obviously bringing up abortion and the transgender things that they try to bring up to fearmonger. And that's another thing that I was thinking of today too. With this fear-mongering stuff, it's like that's how this man grew to power. And I know I'm not saying anything new. This man literally got elected to be president twice because of fear mongering and telling and spreading lies. And that those lies seeped into people's mind, and they were able to, I guess, successfully put like propaganda-ish things together to convince people that there was something to fear when there's not. Because the way that they put some of the things, it makes it seem like just because there's one issue or one instance of something happening, they will take that one instance and make it seem like it's happening everywhere. If people would have done their research and fact check some of this stuff, which we know they don't, they just went with it. And now there are people out there who believe Just for example, like, because I saw this in my comments throughout the past couple days on other videos, there's this thing about, there's the Democrat Party wants to force trans surgeries on children and force them to transition. Like, how does that even make sense? They're not even doing that for adults. So why are they doing that to children? Transitioning, that is a private thing that happens with the person, and I guess if they're a minor, that would be something the person and the family discuss. Like, why would a Democrat interfere with that? Like, you have to just sit and think about it. And why would they want to push that amongst society as something that they're trying to get every child to do? Like, think about it. And now these Trump supporters are running around thinking that it's going to happen with all children. It kind of reminds me just like back in the day when it was kind of taboo to come out and announce that you were gay or lesbian. Back then they were like, oh, don't spread that stuff over to me. So there's still like a stigma about all of this. And Trump took that stigma and used it to cause fear amongst his base, and now they're sitting here looking stupid, acting like this is something that's prevalent amongst society. Do you think a doctor is going to allow, like, let's say a 10, 12, 13-year-old child to transition with surgery? Like, really sit and think about it. But at the same time, let me bring this into it. I remember watching a video where there were minors who got plastic surgery. Where's the outrage about that? That's a minor altering their body. Where's the outrage on that? Like I know a lot of times in these rich communities, they'll let their children get nose jobs and get boob jobs and stuff when they get to teenage age. It happens, but you don't hear people being outraged about that because it's something the child and the parent and I guess the doctor. I don't think that's anything that's prevalent. I'm not trying to say that, but it does happen. It's the parents and the doctor and the individual who discussed it amongst themselves. It's not like doctors and plastic surgeons are trying to pass that off for every child to go and get their nose fixed or get their ears pinned back or get chin surgery or whatever. But no, all of a sudden, like, Democrats are trying to push gender surgeries when there are grown adults who are trans and do not have the surgery. But I don't want to spend too long on that topic, but that was just an example that came to my mind. And when you really think about it too, and this just clicked to me, when you bring up COVID, like during that time, this man convinced a good percentage of the population that COVID was a made up scam for like the first year of it, and made people not even want to wear a simple cloth mask across their face. He politicized a mask to help save lives. And the vaccine, now the vaccine thing, I understand, like anti-vaxxers existed before COVID. I mean, that's known. But the fact that he convinced people to not take a vaccine that was out there to save your life. Now, again, there's a lot of things where it's like I understand it was put in place, like the vaccine. Obviously, we needed that. So many people were dying. So it was great that we were able to have a turnaround time that was, fast enough to kind of mitigate the deaths that were happening. But Trump fear-mongered people into not doing it. And then he started with this ivermectin thing and the inject themselves with bleach thing that they ran with. Imagine not wanting to take a vaccine, which, like I said, I understand not everyone is pro-vaccine, and I get it. I'm not going to lie. When the vaccines were out, I took my time and researched it. Not because I believe Trump, but I was nervous because the turnaround time that it was put out there for us to take, I was nervous. I was like, was this tested? What's the side effects of this? But eventually I did get vaccinated and I'm fine. But let them tell you you're probably going to die in a year because of side effects from the vaccine 6 years later. But anyway, but when you really think about it, like it is so crazy. And then that kind of, if I remember correctly, the mask thing and social distancing, that kind of spread throughout the world as other people were like, no, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to wear a mask. When you really just kind of sit there and go back to that time frame we were in, and you had the whole president of the United States who's supposed to have the country's best interests at mind, telling you that he didn't have faith in the doctors, didn't want to tell you ways to kind of keep yourself safe by just wearing the mask while you were out in public. Only in public. It's not like you had to wear a mask in your house. It was a simple thing to do to keep yourself safe and keep everybody else safe. But he convinced people that was a Democrat thing, which is still, when like I know I keep saying when you think about it, but it's true. Like since we're 6 years removed from COVID, well, not 6 years, 6 years removed from it starting, I should say, it's so stupid when you say it out loud. Like, this man convinced people to not wear a mask, and that a deadly virus that killed millions of people across the world was a scam and something that was just out there to make you feel scared. I don't know, that I'm speaking about it, it just, wow, I'm kind of just like, I can't believe first of all, we have to give ourselves a pat on the back. Like, we're survivors. Like, when you tell your grandchildren, or maybe even your children, great-grandchildren, you could say that you survived this. So good on us for doing whatever we had to do. And yes, I'm sure there'll be a MAGA person out there that said, oh, I never took the shot or wore a mask and I made it. Well, good for you. You're lucky. You're lucky you made it, because Trump would have had your ass killed while he's still here making billions. But okay, you're here. You made it. It's really kind of telling how he was able to do all of this, and these people are struggling, and they didn't think that they would be affected, and they were crazy enough to let this man be president again, and they voted for him 3 times. And of course, not to mention the other stuff we always mention, like the Epstein files, January 6th. Not even just that, but just the fact of the lies that he said during this entire election, and how besides deportations in this big, beautiful bill, nothing else has come to fruition with this man. Nothing is cheaper. Like, everything is more expensive than it was before he got into office. I don't care what any Trump supporter come in here and say under Biden gas was higher. No, it wasn't. Stop lying. You're just trying to save face. It was not. Now he's stuck in a war with Iran that he can't even get out of. And now everybody has to suffer for that. Around the world, gas prices are higher around the world. Everything's going up around the world, but y'all are like, oh, I don't want to vote for that lady just because she's a woman. Y'all just aren't ever going to be ready to vote in a woman. But look what the man is doing to y'all, and y'all still are trying to convince yourselves of something, some redeeming issue that you feel he's fixing for you when he's really not. And even when you bring up the abortion thing, oh, he's against it. I imagine Trump feels about it. He's telling y'all he's pro-life. If you ask me, I feel like Trump definitely paid for some abortions back then, without a doubt. I mean, that's just me. That my opinion. I don't think he's ever mentioned that anywhere. Or was that in the Epstein files? I don't know. I think he paid for a good amount of abortion. That's the one y'all bow down to and think of as your Lord and Savior. But I think the FAFO is only going to get worse from here. I'm going to sit back and still make videos about it. It's going to be the people in every video that come in and say, oh, this isn't going to make everything better. Well, the people themselves are going to have to make it better. people like me who voted against this, we don't have anything to feel bad about. And the people that say that I'm laughing, I'm not laughing. Like, I might chuckle. Some of the videos may be funny, but the underlying message is that these people who are the subject of all of these videos, they voted for this. So why do I have to have sympathy when that person didn't care to do any research or learn from Project 2025 or what he did in his first term? Why do I have to extend myself out to be more accepting? Just like the creator, Fit for Justice says, it's like, you can't expect everyone to like welcome someone who's waking up with open arms. Like me, it's like, I'm going to hold you to task for it. I'm not going to be overly mean. But there are people in the comments that said, I don't give a F them. They did this to themselves. I don't care. And they have the right to feel that way. I'm always going to say that. Each individual person will react to it in a different way. And to me, that's fine. I'm not laughing about it, but I'm always going to call it out and point it out. Sorry if you don't agree. And I understand it's not the most conducive. I hope that at some point when people like on a broader spectrum are able to realize, hey, we messed up, then you could start those conversations about like, hey, how do we try to stop this? A great way to prove yourself and to prove that you're hip to the game now would be to vote accordingly in the midterm elections. That's how you can start. Calling it out and making fun of them laughing is not going to help anything. It may not, but they're not going to get away scot-free with it. Because if we don't call it out continuously after we told them for almost a year or however long he was announced as the Republican candidate that this would happen, then we have the right. I'm going to always say that we always have the right to hold them accountable for that because lives are being affected. I could have given a little bit of a benefit of the doubt if this was his first term and we didn't know any better. Or I should say they didn't know any better. But y'all had the information from the first term. Y'all saw what he did with the January 6th and this voter fraud BS. And y'all still wanted to rock with him after being convicted on 34 felonies. I'm sorry. I might have to say this every video, but we're going to hold them accountable because they were in our face waving the flags, like jumping for joy when he was elected. Now the tune has changed. Now we see tears. Now we see regret on these news articles with these farmers. And when they pull up to like the gas stations and ask people about the gas prices, they're saying they don't like it. Well, this is what we warned you guys about. You're not seeing any waving of the flags. People are taking them down now. There's no flags, there's no bumper stickers, none of that. It's all gone, no signs. I don't know if there's a perfect way to go about it, but we have the right to hold them accountable and we will do so. I will do so. Like, I'm never trying to be mean and disrespectful about it, but hey, it has to be said. They're coming out with it anyway. It's like, I'm not forcing anybody to come out and say how they're struggling or how their business is struggling. So it's being put out there. They're doing news stories and posting on social media. People have the right to react to it, just like people react negatively to my videos. I might comment, but I'm not deleting your comment because you have the right to say that. You have the right to disagree. Like I said, the FAFO is only going to increase from here on out. That's the feeling I have. But of course, let me know what you think about this down below, about any of these clips that we saw today. And don't forget to like and subscribe because that really would help the channel out and help the channel to grow. And of course, I would appreciate it as always. And if you made it this far, you know I appreciate you as well. And that's all I have. So I'll see you guys in the comments and catch you guys later. Bye.
Good morning, President Trump. My name is Alex Kazel, and I'm retired Army combat infantryman. Last October, I was ran over by an illegal immigrant, and I was given the ticket. I suffered 8 broken ribs where they had to plate 3 of them. I had a brain bleed and a ruptured spleen, and then I had to have surgery on my hand with pins and needles put in it. I went to court today to talk to the judge, and I was belittled and berated. I am asking for your help in understanding my case and looking into my case, because there's over $300,000 worth of medical bill that the VA is not covering and insurance is not covering, that I am stuck with. I was, yet again, President Trump, I was ran over on October 18th by an illegal immigrant in Tampa, Florida. And the court system down here wrote me a ticket.